Hi there. In case if you want to practice Windows 11 installation in your lab, this video is for you. So once you have installed your Windows client operating system or server operating system, and you need to have hypervisor. Once you install the hypervisor, you can point to the Hyper-V manager and select your server and right click new, and then simply click on virtual machine. This is gonna start creating a wizard which will help us to create a new virtual machine. So I'll just give here Win11 or Windows 11 the way you want it. So I wanted to put everything into the proper folder structure, so I'll just put it here Win11, and then I need to take it here generation 2. The major difference between generation 1 and generation 2, Windows 11 can install on generation 2 only because Windows 11 requires UEFI firmware as well as the secure boot should be enabled along with the TPM. All of that is possible with the generation 2. So we would take this option as the configuration for creating our virtual machine. So we talked about the generation 1 and generation 2. Now let's actually take it to generation 2. You know the difference now. Click on next, and the minimum RAM that we talked about, the hardware pre-requirements, we need to at least have 1 GHz processor with the 2 cores and RAM as a 4 GB. So I'm going to give here as a 6 GB close to, and it must be 64-bit hardware, and I'm fine with the network cards. Again, in the network cards I've created multiple things, but if you want to create, you can have multiple switch manager to create it. The basic idea would be if you install the Hyper-V manager, you will get the default one which will actually provide the internet. You don't need to create any further, but just in case if you want to learn more, simply select here the radio button as an external network, just like this, create external virtual switch and choose your network card. For example, I have chosen here as the Realtek PCI, and then I would give here external, so that what would happen is the internet connected to my Realtek PCI card physically, and that will give the connection if I choose as external. Here for example, in this case I have an external, so if I choose here while creating in this wizard as external, what would happen is the physical network card has an internet, and that card will provide the internet to your virtual machine. So that's what we talked about it. And coming back to the requirement side, if you could recall about the requirements for internet connectivity for installing Windows 11, in case if you're using Home Edition, definitely internet connection is required because you're going to log in with the Microsoft account to complete the device setup. So you need to end up with a Microsoft account for Home Edition, and you must have to use the internet connection. And for Home and Home S also same thing, but in case if you're switching from Home to S mode, that which provides you the only universal application based or Microsoft Store based applications requirement, that's also the same case. But any other editions of Windows 11, internet access is required to perform updates and downloads of your Windows updates, but it's not mandatory that for installing Windows 11, but it is required for getting latest feature updates or security updates. That's where internet is required. So let's click on next, and now I'm going to create this virtual machine. So what is happening is it's actually creating in this location the virtual hard disk. That's fine with us, and click on next and install operating system from a bootable media. So I need to download Windows 11 media from Microsoft site. Of course I'm using the trial edition, so I would choose that ISO here by browsing. Once we have browsed and located the ISO file, that's nothing but the installation media, click on next, click on finish. That's going to create a virtual machine, but that's not the end. You need to select that virtual machine. Simply right click. For example, this is a virtual machine I have selected. Click on settings and go back to Microsoft security, that is especially for secure boot should be enabled state, and enable TPM module, because the TPM chip is needed and the TPM version 2.0. So definitely we need to have this. And coming back to the processors, I'll be giving here more than one processor because the requirement is at least more than 2 cores which you needed. So I have more cores. If you see here, I have more than cores. So I'll just give here at least the 4 core. And coming back to the memory, I will end up with 6 GB initial, and if I want dynamic I could go for more than 10 GB, but this 6 GB is more than enough for this machine because the minimum requirement is 4 gigahertz. So that's how I would create and apply so that the virtual machine is ready. Now finally we have to connect by selecting that newly created virtual machine. Say connect. So that's going to open up the console for that virtual machine. So you see here, this is a virtual machine console. Now all I have to do is I have the start button, click on start to install the virtual machine with Windows 11 operating system, because that's a media which is we have inserted, if you remember. And coming back to the press any key to boot CD or DVD, that means the media to boot it you need to press any key when we started. So if I just click on start control del button, it's gonna again do the same thing. So if I start pressing any key, it actually boots from the media, and then you would follow the normal steps for installing Windows 11. So we'll catch you in the Windows 11 installation lecture, but this is how you could set it up your lab. I hope it made easy for you to understand better, and we'll catch you in the next lecture for installing Windows 11 on this virtual machine.